and welcome back to another LinuxGameCast weekly show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, RIP Steam Machines. Wait, that was just bad reporting, and Linux Game Jam 2018. It needs your submissions, it needs your games, and I think we might send it a copy of Brick Stimulator 2018.
A Valve dev reaffirms their commitment to Linux. Howls at the moon. And 2020 MacBooks are going to be dropping Intel. Wait, why am I talking about this?
Steam Spy paints 2017 by the numbers, and it looks like PUBG. And we throw chairs at the 2018 incarnation of my favorite Linux game. Well, we can only ever hurt the ones we love, right?
Hurt
me, Daddy.
LGC actual not hurting Daddy, but switching the bits, producing some of this nightmare fuel joined, and that was the dulcet tone of our Canadian correspondent, the man from Toronto, Santa Claus himself, one Jordan Spang. And
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Hey, baby. All the way from Space Britannia, the man on the island. He went back like Jack, some numbers and shit. I don't know. Bring back Lost. I miss it. That's Pedro Mateus. And together with Chat Realm Dynamic helping us form that last most integral bit known as Cocaine Voltron. Gentlemen, before we get started, we do like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. I got fucking old report, man. It got warm enough to wash cars, so I washed all of my cars, and it rained 2 days later, so fuck the world, man.
See, I have that mental image of like you with like the shirt tucked up under itself and like booty shorts just like scrubbing down the magnum.
It was too cold. It was like 12 degrees. Way too cold for booty shorts. I would listen. We can make that a Patreon goal. I will put on fucking booty shorts. But it was like 12 degrees. I got done. My hands were froze. So I didn't think my clever plan all the way through. It's like, because I didn't notice until I went to wash up. And that was the thing. What are you up to, Jordan, man? Anything exciting?
Oh, man. We were talking about that a bit in the pre-super shows. But hot damn, I was just about to pull a trigger on one of those fucking Ryzen laptops. And it looks like Intel is paying good money to keep those laptops gimped. Because it's either you don't get enough battery, or the fucking RAM is soldered on and single channel 8 gigs only, and it's like, god damn it, I just want my 2700U. I would like it in a laptop with some decent battery life and some decent RAM. That's all I want.
What's up, Pedro?
Yeah, well. Over here, I realized that, as it turns out, Compton can do a better job of compositing than Kwin. And it's freaking Plasma 5, man. I'm trying to like it. I'm trying to, because Kwin's got all these nice features that you can do with window rules and whatnot. And the compositing sucks. It sucks so goddamn much.
Hey, man, don't worry. 2018 will be the year of not having torn-ass busted desktops on Linux. Jesus, fuck. This has been a problem for 2 decades. Something that we typically don't have the problem with is our horse, and we drag that out each and every week for kind of a refresh. What's going on in the world of Steamy news?
Yeah, it looks like it's decided to renew its vows with us, which is always nice to hear. It's the Steam
Linux
update
of the week. Oh shit, we went Hollywood. I remember to do the effects this week, man. Earlier this week, some things went down. A lot of people were reporting, hey man, they removed the link from the Steam store directly to the Steam boxes, which for anyone following this story was like, and fucking so? I mean, that's not a thing. Valve effectively killed the Steam machines like 3 days after they launched them, but there was some hubbub or whatever you want to say about it. It's from OC3D. Hubbub. And hey, turns out they didn't. Maybe we need to calm our memories. Is that
Oh yeah, we got to contain the calamity that is our memories, because Pierre Loup-Garou, everyone's favorite computer programming werewolf, decided to address some of the rumors head on the Steam community forums there. So yes, Valve knows they dropped the ball on the Steam machines. He admits it. They removed it from the main navigation menu because no one is buying Steam machines, and so that shouldn't really waste a lot of room on their menu. You can still find them if you look for them on the Steam website, if you are so inclined. That is just like backstock and like whatever Gaben has in his attic from all of the. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to be huge one day. Anyways, we do have an update from Mr. Loop Guru, Loop Griffey, whatever the hell his name is. He says that Valve is still committed to Linux. That their main concern is Vulkan. To paraphrase, first Vulkan, then the bitches. They figure if they can make the graphics stack a non-issue, that's going to solve most of the problems, aside from the case-sensitive file system thing that still sends the trip developers up. But that's neither here nor there. But they have reaffirmed their commitment to Linux, and it looks like Steam OS is going to stick around because that is what Valve will be targeting. So they're delivering VR solutions, they're going to be delivering other stuff, and it's all going to be targeting Steam OS, which makes sense because they have a platform that they can control and makes delivery of such goals simpler. And apparently we got some worm sign, or at least something, because there are several initiatives in the pipe that they just can't talk about yet regarding the valves in Linux. Ooh, I'm
they kind of throws that out there. It's like, oh, we'd have, hush hush wink wink say no more and all that. And here's the thing, Pedro, what do you think? Because I do believe, like, at the end of the day, yes, 100%. I honestly, in my non-existent dark black heart, believe that Valve is working on shite that three of us, we're yahoos. We don't know what we're talking about. We can't even begin to fathom what they're working on. However, it could be exceptionally useless, stupid shite that they're working on as well.
Yeah, and considering this is Valve we're talking about, and Valve time is very much a thing, even Gabe Newell had that little cameo in a video a while back saying, these things, they take time. And, well, when they first announced the Steam machines and they were released to no fanfare whatsoever, just a bunch of people making fun of Valve, I was one of the very few people who said Valve has never really played for the short term, and the Steam machines, well, they weren't exactly Valve's doing. Yes, it was Valve's SteamOS powering them, well, some of them, and the others were just third-party pre-built systems from companies like Falcon Northwest, who were selling $5,000 Steam machines. Yeah, that shit's not gonna fly. But yeah, no, basically what Pierre-Luc Griffet was saying is that they're not exactly selling, so we just removed that category, but you could still find them if you want to buy them.
I completely agree with that, man. Listen, Steam machines came out way too early. Like right now, if Gaben called me up, he was like, "Yo, Vsauce, what's up?" And I was like, "I'm going to release this." Like, no, Vulkan's not ready yet. Maybe in another year from now, when everything's sorted and we have legitimate parity, because only like straight up delusional people believe that TX12 is still the future, brah. Because it is, brah.
Well, no, it's the future because we have a fucking cross compiler for Vulkan to DirectX 12 now. So
yeah,
right.
By all means, code in DX12 all you want.
Yep. Yeah, right in Vulkan. You get DX12 for free. You get Vulkan for free.
Maybe I won't be Vsauce because I think Pedro and Pizza do. I'll be Vinments. How about that, bitches? Where's she got now? All right, moving on. Quick little update. Want to give this a mention. Steam Client Beta. It is April 6th update. The Linux bit for this is they have fixed a bug. If you were trying to re-add your Steam library folder to the client, it would fail with an error about the file system not being mounted, giggity, with execute permissions. So if that's a thing and you've run into that issue, you can go sort it now. And Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. Okay. Glad they fixed it, but I am using custom. When I set up the 2 terabyte YOLO RAID with the hard drives to move all the Steam games to, I did some switching back and forth, and it didn't throw that bug. But that was a couple of months ago, so maybe they introduced the bug.
This might be a recent thing because I have 4 SSDs that are mounted as separate Steam libraries. So and I didn't run into that either. So
all right, Valve by the numbers.
Oh, yes. So the fine folks behind Steam Spy, specifically Sergey Galyonkin, something like that, He basically did a little, well, I say little, it's a huge post with all the numbers that Steam Spy has been gathering over 2017, and basically what that means. They had over 290 million people on Steam in
Holy
2017.
hell, man. Steam turned into a hockey stick around 2011, didn't it? No, 2012, yeah.
Yeah.
2012, yeah. That's right around the time that they introduced a little something called green light, but we're not there yet. Yeah, it's basically all the numbers. If you're a numbers person, by all means, go have a look at this article. The retention curve that you're looking at right now, that's actually, well, that speaks a lot to the quality of games on Steam right now, because people used to get a game and play it, and now they get a game, it's like, oh, it's one of those. And people are actually buying less games because of that. Go figure. More choice means less people, means people are buying less games. Go figure. Yeah. There's a lot to this one, but basically when you get down to the specifics of the games, it's like, okay, which games sold the most? And if you include PUBG, the games that cost $29.99 or $30 rule. But if you take out PUBG, the $20 games rule. And it's basically, okay, PUBG is queuing an entire year's worth of numbers, even though it only came out like halfway through the year. So yeah, there's something for you to keep in mind. PUBG.
So
China's gonna China, man.
Hey, man, that's definitely a thing. But even PUBG, hasn't PUBG been losing out to the Fortnites lately?
Yeah, but Fortnite is not on Steam, so yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of like in development Unreal Engine 4 games that people are like falling in love with now. But yeah, it looks like that fucking hot 4 months where everyone was on that PUBG train.
Right.
Really messed things up.
Well, I mean, that train just fucking plows over, man. I mean, it starts like way back. I mean, I remember when Rust was huge, man. Caveman Peni. And what was it before that? DayZ or something like that?
Yeah,
the DayZ mod.
The Arma mod.
Yeah. So
before that, it was Dota. Everyone was on the fucking Dota train.
Dota train. Woo woo. Let's keep this trade rolling. What is it? Heathen checker, man. You can determine just how much of a heathen you are with this one simple trick.
Yeah, so there's someone
Steve Ballmer
went
hates
through the trouble of creating the LGC.Licensure.nl Steam checker, and the LGC bit does not mean Linux Gamecast; it's Linux Game Checker.
It does now.
I was really disappointed about that too, because I legitimately thought when I saw that URL, I'm like, what? So it rates your Steam account on a scale from 1 to 4 chairs? Someone make that.
But
do it.
Basically, what this does is you write in your Steam ID, or you copy paste your Steam community URL, and it will give you, like, if you have your profile set to public, it will give you the list of all your games and whether or not you can play them on Linux, not just the native Linux versions, but also whether they work on Wine, whether there's any other way that you can get the games to work. And well, I did that, and I found a couple of issues, because when I got down to the bit where they say, oh yeah, no, these games don't work on Linux, now they've changed the wording, and they say, we can confirm that these games can be played on Linux. And you see, it's like Left 4 Dead, the first one. Yeah, it works on Linux with Wine. Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl.
Holy fuck, man, I must have just like accidentally left Lucius 2. Like running in the background, because I do not remember putting 7 hours.
Didn't it have a problem where like it would just kind of not
wouldn't
die?
close? Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
So sorry, as you were.
And then there are some actual Linux games that have Linux versions on Steam, like Frontiers, RC Mini Racers. Those also are listed as they can't confirm. Also Everspace.
Well,
there's a couple of issues.
What I noticed too. What I noticed too is if you got like Serious Sam 2, which actually does have a Linux version. It's just you got to do the Lutra
shuffle. Wait a minute, Binding of Isaac doesn't run on Linux?
The original one is not on Steam, no.
Afterbirth is on Steam.
Okay.
Afterbirth is the DLC. Rebirth is the one.
Yeah, there are a couple mislabeled ones, but for a ballpark, this thing is fine.
Yeah, and they do give you a little link
that recently got upgraded to like a gold or like platinum rating. It's like, oh hey, I can play this online.
They give you a link to submit a correction, so give them a look, feedback that information so they can improve, and this might actually be something useful for someone who's coming from Windows to Linux, and they want to know if they can at least play some of their games, you know, besides the usual 30% or something that the average person gets.
Correctamundo. Okay, Rocket League's coming up next.
Indeed, Rocket Cars have a new update, a significant update. They introduced new content. The headlines, they say players can now create... Update. Yep, players can now create and join tournaments.
All the stuff we were talking about was, for the past couple of weeks that they've been blog posting about, is now here.
Yep, pretty much. And they also have, down at the bottom, 2 specific Linux fixes. Linux and Mac. But it's actually nice to see that they're actually mentioning SteamOS in the fixes. They fixed the bug causing players to crash when loading the Steam Workshop maps, and they fixed the bug causing players to crash when using Happy Holidays Goal Explosion. The Goal Explosions was something they added recently too. That's something you can customize now. But yeah,
on the first pass of that too, I'm like, I saw the word explosion. I'm like, oh, did they finally fix that thing where the game freezes when you blow someone up? Nope.
that you still get on that very first explosion of each match. You still get that freeze frame.
Demolition has been such a. I'm fucking used to it now. It's like, okay, let's get that out of the way. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're at home and wonder why you get detonated often and early, don't naturally assume it's a Linux user trying to get that freeze animation out of the way, but it very well could be. So,
yes.
But we've buried the real news about Rocket League updates, the important stuff.
John Cena! Yeah, WrestleMania is coming up, apparently. And Rocket League, and that's the thing, wrestling ad revenue has been going way the fuck down since its heyday in the Attitude Era 90s WWE. Or back when it was called the WWF, and they had to fight pandas with folding chairs. But yeah, so Rocket League has been giving them the Vince McMahon some sweet cash.
I didn't know they had an ongoing partnership. All right, this is I know nothing about the wrestling, so
this was a complete TIL moment for me as well.
Okay,
but they added a bunch of like WWE cross-branded like banners and flags and a WWE wheel. I was a little upset though, because I wanted like full on PvP mode, or at the very least a Suplex City like map.
Oh no, that's
I want the boats first.
Okay, yes, also boats. But yeah, I want the ability for like in midair, just like to reach out, grab them with your tires, do like a spin, and like slam them with a car elbow or some shit. Like, yeah, man, just get brutal.
Yeah, it's the people's elbow or some shit. Yeah, I'm down with that.
So, like most things in Rocket Cars, this is just cosmetic bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's, all right.
This is the cross promotion just because like WrestleMania is coming up in a couple weeks or something.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. There's also nothing wrong with building gigantic robots that ejaculate fire or incinerate people in a box.
Nope.
But Besiege, they got an update for their multiplayer thing as well as their single player. This is V0657578. They added a capture the flag type level to the single player campaign, which is it's basically like you have to defend the thing, Dota if it were for Besiege. And they also added a LAN option to Multiverse. So now you can do LAN games, which is actually kind of nice because we've seen that kind of go the way of the Dodo. Because with like Steam integration and other online services, they want people to buy multiple copies of the game on like multiple different consoles or like systems if you want multiplayer. So now you can set up a nice little LAN. You can play your Besiege locally. You can set up a little LAN party and just build machines that fuck each other up.
Let's put some money. We need to get around to playing this like on a Tuesday or Thursday, and it'll be a little fucked up tournament. Do you think Besiege will come out of early access this year?
Well, I was going to ask you a different question.
Okay.
Do you think Besiege will come out of early access before
Or
Distance does?
Yes, that was...
Yeah.
Okay, no.
I would like to address that question. Do you think Besiege will come out of early access? Period.
I would say that about Distance. Distance, I believe, will come out of early access when they kill the early access program.
When the inevitable heat death of the universe occurs, it's like, hey, all movement in the universe is stopping, so we decided it's time to get Distance out of early access.
That's and I'm sorry guys at Refract, but that game's been done for like 2 years. Come on, you know it has.
Yeah.
So
just finish the single player
release content patches.
Story
Look at Hollow Knight.
Just do it. Yeah.
Hollow Knight's like, here's an entirely new game. Go fuck yourself.
mm-hmm.
And the exact same engine. Go figure.
Albinos Online. What are we doing?
Oh yes, no, it's not albinos. This is big old cocktease for me specifically. This is Sunless Skies, made by the fine folks who made Sunless Seas, which wasn't exactly our cup of tea when we threw chairs at it, but they have Sunless Skies, which is exactly the same thing, but it's spaceships instead of boats. And now they have the Albion region available.
Wait a minute. So
and
they
when
replaced
I saw
the
that,
ground texture pack and called it a new game?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. I wasn't judging, just pointing something out that I just noticed. All right.
And when I read this, like, oh, wait, Albion is coming to Steam finally? No. Oh, well, it is, if you are one of those people who very much enjoyed the walls of text that were in Sunless Sea, early access game, yes. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you're one of those people who did very much enjoy those walls of text and not a whole lot of anything else, and you would like to support these people in their continued endeavor to make the exact same game just with a palette swap, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be fair, man. This type of game falls into that category of like Civ and shit like that. If this is your jam, or like FTL, if it's your jam, it's your fucking jam.
And
FTL,
like,
I get.
There's quite a bit of content in like Sunless Sea, Sunless Skies, or whatever. If you're patient enough to like go through the rigmarole to access it,
right?
And yeah, I mean it's a thing. It's one of those games where like if you got a lot of time to kill, this is perfect for that.
Well, I mean, it's a beautiful thing in that aspect of, it is, if you're being honest, they changed the floor. But a lot of people enjoyed that universe, enjoyed what was going on there, and they want more of it. And this is a way for them to like roll it out. And it's that type of game where people will pay whatever price tag you put up there. So
apparently.
Oh, yeah. But you, Pedro, are unworthy. Get out of here.
I am unworthy. But this game, on the other hand, seems very much worthy of my attention. If for nothing else than the whole, it's Metroidvania with a heavy focus on the Vania. And if that doesn't ring any bells, think Sultan Sanctuary meets Limbo, judging by the aesthetics and the description. And I'd already seen that. This has been on my wish list since it came out, since they first announced it on Steam. And it's still not out. It's still coming soon. And I very much want to play this. It's this one.
Stylistic pan, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's my dick
it's
rock
this
hard.
one and Aether, something like that. I very much want to play these games because this is, I love Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Anything that even closely resembles that, I'm all over it.
Hey, man, you do not need an operating system, processor, memory, storage, or additional notes in order to play the recommended. All you need is a GeForce GTX 560.
Well, no, as long as you have that 560, you don't need anything else. But if you don't, have it help you.
Okay, true.
That said, the big twist here in the Metroidvania formula is you got to be Mr. Roly Poly. You can't jump around, jump up, and get down. And we don't have a price or release date for this. It's just coming soon.
What?
Jump.
Jump around, jump around.
I'm looking at it, and Unworthy looks decent. I like the look of it. I love the aesthetics of it. But
Oh yeah.
I've definitely. I think we've all been slain by pretty games and really shot gameplay.
It's like we have Hollow Knight and Salt and Sanctuary on one end, and we have Slain on the other end. Let this not be
Slain was so bad they made an updated version as an apology. Okay, so
and it wasn't much better either. So
no,
yeah.
Hey man,
time to get Shrek though.
Speaking of totally shit games, get wrecked, man. Early access game price to sell, free to play. I actually checked this out, not because it's free to play, because hey man, look at it, cell shaded. I was like, all right, that's a little bit different than your normal shit that shows up on the Steams. What is it? Choose your vehicle, install weapons, protections, and launch yourself into, and I'm quoting, the biggest multiplayer challenge ever seen. Yeah,
Find another player.
yes.
Okay, all right. Here's what kept me going. Here's what kept me going. It only needs the Linux operating system because that's the thing.
Just the kernel.
Just the kernel, man. I'm kind of impressed. But this does require the NVIDIA GeForce 800M, so don't get your hopes up, baby.
Oh shit! You need a straight up Steam machine if you want to play that.
6 years ago.
I decided to try this. It's Unity. It loads. Now, I was floored when I hit multiplayer. It's Unity pre-made matchmaking, system built in the engine. There were people driving around in it. I was like, well, fuck me. And I fucked right out because this has a 2-second micro stutter starting with a menu, going into the game, ticking a clock. It's like, just freezes. Now, granted, I'm running it on a crusty old 980 with a Ryzen 1700, so that could be the problem. But yeah, it's driver. What was it? The clown gun game, PS1.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal.
Yes.
It's kind of like Babby's first attempt to make that. So maybe.
Man, I missed that fucking game. That was a fun game.
Holy hell, yeah! But do not go back and watch videos of it, though, man. It does not hold.
No.
Because you look at that and you're like, how did we play that blurry mess of pixels? How did we misconstrue that with actual games?
Nostalgia goggles. I saw the trailer for this. They're like, oh hey, someone mounted a fucking artillery cannon on a VW bus. I approve. But if it's a freaking janky mess, it's early access, free to play.
Off topic.
So at the very least, you're not spending any money. Yep.
Dear VW owners, quit parking next to other VWs. It's creepy as fuck, right? That happened again this week where I had 2 more VWs parked next to mine, and I park way away from everyone else because I'm antisocial.
They seek you out. I think Volkswagen actually installs a tracker that causes other VWs to come in.
It's a thing. Parking buddies. I'm like, whoa, if I knew that shit, I wouldn't have bought the damn car. Hey, maybe I could build a game about smashing other V-dubs.
Maybe it might be better than Get Wrecked. Anyways, this is Build a Game Universe. It's early access, come and spoon, and it is another graphical game development tool that promises to be free to play, where you can then go put the games that you've made on a store and sell them, ? Which to me, for a free to play game, seems like a little silly. Also, this is a store within a store, I guess. This is like Leadworks running on Steam type shit. But I mean, it might be good for a simple game creation tool if you have a kid or something who.
Hey man, it looks like they're at update 71, so it's being actively developed. And give them that, unlike Leadworks.
This is true, and it's there's a week of difference too. So. And they may have an asset store or something as well. That's how they intend to profit off it or get a cut from the sales themselves. But like I said, it might be good for if you have a kid or something who wants to get into game dev and fucking around a bit. But you should really just learn how to use Godot. I'm gonna say that right now. You can get it on Steam too.
True. All right. Yeah, that's the thing. We gave it a mention. Full Metal Furies, which is not Full Metal Furies, but holy fuck, no one calls it anything but.
No, dude, I was playing that with a roommate, one of his friends, and we kept calling it Full Metal Furries because we're idiots. No, but this is I played a little bit of this actually. And it's not bad. It's kind of like a hipster pixel castle crashers, anyways, where you have a group of people, you run around, beat shit up, you can level up and get some better moves, and it's perfectly fun. Except for that thing, what you're on right now, the fucking brown level. Fuck that level. Fuck it in its stupid monkey ear.
So that's the one we
that
play.
Is, like,
okay.
Yeah, it's fucked. I mean, it's FNA 2. This comes to us from the wonderfully sexy Ethan Lee. So it will just work. Period. It's FNA. Like,
well,
yeah,
of course.
You still need glibs COS, but hey man, your freaking Nintendo Power Pad will work with this game. Ethan is kind of insane about that.
And the biggest thing that jumped out at me when I was looking at the trailer is like, wait a second, the developers of Rogue Legacy, Cellar Door Games. I loved Rogue Legacy. It's been a long time since that lot put out a game. I want to play it now. Yeah.
Oh no, it's a perfectly fun game. I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah,
it looks fun.
Fuck
$20, $19.99 multiplayer, online multiplayer. So if that's your jam, go check it out. Maybe we will. Who knows? That's gonna do it for the horse, though.
Yeah, we gotta put the horse away. We put the ring on its like gelatinous hoof, and now it gets to go bear our horrible children. I have no idea where I was going with that. Coming up next, dolphins need love too, and they'll get at it in really disturbing ways.
Giggity.
Ugh.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the shilling section, where we basically sell ourselves out to you. We ask you, what do you want from us? Why do you keep giving us money? You're amazing. Please don't stop. You are awesome. Ooh, there's the penguin.
Hey, what he wants about true fitting.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sea monster, right?
What is that? Hang on. It's like, look at your Pedro. Now look back. Your Pedro is now a penguin begging for cash. No,
yeah.
This makes no sense to the audio listeners. I apologize.
Absolutely. You know what? We're fucked at this point. LinuxGameCast.com. Click the support button. There are links there. You can give us money through like Amazon affiliate links or Humble affiliate links. You can get on Frank's fuck wall by buying stuff from our Amazon wish list. There's all sorts of interesting ways you can give us money, including clicking on ads, giving us Bitcoin, and what's this?
Click on all the abs.
LibrePay. We got LibrePay now.
LibrePay, man. We've had it forever. I just finally got around to adding that. We need to thank people though, because this is my favorite part of the segment. We're like, yo, man, you hooked us up. Go ahead.
Oh,
you can talk while I talk.
We got
it's full duplex, bitch.
Yeah, we motherfucker, we got to tell them about where the people are giving us money at the patreon.com/LinuxGameCast.
Never heard of it.
Where you also, I know it's because you're an ignorant slut, and you cannot be an ignorant slut by going to that website, clicking on that become a Patreon button, because you get some good stuff. You get access to the show notes. We play some video games on Friday. We invite you along. You can go play with us. Hang out with your best friends on the internet, because we're the only ones who understand you. You also help fund the Tuesday and Thursday streams that we do. We got Jill on weekly, daily, Wednesday now, as long as we stay over that 200 some odd goal. And this all could not be done without your help. Hosting a podcast is very expensive. Podcast. It's very expensive, considering we host a lot of the stuff locally.
All of it locally, all the video and all that fun stuff. But
yeah, except for the YouTube page. But yeah, that's cloud backup.
It's free cloud backup, man. I look at YouTube like this. It's like a CDN that pays us. So, let's see. Is Frank still hanging around? No, Frank's still in heaven, man.
I wanna be.
What the hell?
And he has a penguin, too. He has his own penguin. How's that fair?
Phrase like that. But that's everyone who shopped through our affiliate links. That's everyone who's picked us up something off of our wish zone. Thank you very much. You guys have enabled straight up cheat mode. Isn't that right, Frozen Jordan? That's right, Vin.
Yes, it is.
This is kind of wild, man. Jordan just like straight up froze, son. But also everyone shopping through those Amazon affiliate links. You guys are awesome. Real MVPs, and everyone picking up things through the Humble Bundle store. I didn't expect that to take off, but you guys And
as it turns out, video game bundles for the cheap get people to part with some of their cash.
hey, man,
So
it's kind of weird because when you log into it, it's like you've also raised 120 something, 170 for charity too. So that's cool.
we're almost at 200 for charity.
What just
You are
happened
amazing.
here?
All y'all's listening and watching us right now, you did that.
Indeed. So, Jordan, you seem to be back with us. I don't know.
Discord just like cut out.
Yeah, Discord does that sometimes, man. Go away, Penguin.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Are we still recording or?
Oh, we're still going, baby.
All right. Yeah. Keep the train wreck going. All right. Are we done chilling?
You missed it. We were shilling so hard. We were begging for money so hard. We scared away somebody who loves money. Okay, let's talk about the game jam.
Yeah. I think you need to move me to a new deck. I can hear myself.
Okay, keep talking.
Yeah. Game Jam. Linux Game Jam from itch.io. There's the things. Their submission's due in about a week. They want versatile verbs. Needs to redefine the term versatile, whatever that means. Hey, it's fixed.
Okay, do you want me
There
to
we
keep
go.
talking? We're not stopping the show, baby. Keep going.
Well, all right, yeah. You gotta redefine the word versatile. Apparently, for this Linux Game Jam, submit it. Apparently, there's only one entry right now. So if you don't want that guy to win, whoever that is, you should totally join the Game Jam and enter something and add more games to Linux. How about that?
Hey, man, they got some rules. Be creative. You can use any engine. A game must be submitted to official itch.io. Page should be live. You're allowed to work in teams. Finally, you get exactly 1 bonus point if your game is open source and developed with open source tools. Unreal Engine 4. Okay, got it. No, I'm just kidding. I just like somebody to argue that the judges are the Linux gamer, Cassidy James, that Duke boy, Brian Landuke,
Yes.
Wendell from Level 1 Techs, and the Cheeseman himself. So,
Oh man,
Indeed.
the only
So I
submission
am
right
kinda
now is a
curious.
fucking tic-tac-toe game. if you can do something better than that, you might win.
Oh yeah. What was the theme again? Versatile verbs. Tic tac toe. Tic tac fucking toe.
Pedro, you got a gang of shit written in the show notes. Get to it, baby.
Yeah. So my thing with game jams that I really used to look forward to them is developers would always come up with awesome new stuff, or they would actively try to bend the theme of the game jam as far as they could, so they could then twist it around and give you exactly what the team would suggest, but try and subvert your experience as the player, to think, no, this doesn't fit the theme, and then boom, it hits you. And that used to be my driving motivation for paying attention to all the game jams that happen. Nowadays, don't really see that anymore. There's a slight bending of the theme, but it's mostly used as an excuse for the dev or the devs to make the game that they wanted with maybe a slight nod towards the theme itself.
I think one of the things with me, with game jams, it was always exciting in the past, is we basically, up until 3.5 years ago, didn't have any games. And I was like, wait a minute, are they doing open source stuff? Okay, worst case scenario, we can get it ported to Linux. And that's how desperate we were. Moving on in this moon future, it's like, all right, I mean, I fully support it. It's great. And I do like competition, long as everyone doesn't get a trophy, because fuck that.
Participation awards for everybody.
I always found that it was the parents who were demanding participation awards. I knew exactly what the fuck they were as the kids. Like, I didn't do anything. You just give me a trophy because someone's parent complained.
All right, FNA 1804, man. It's not
All
bionic
right,
or
so we
beavers.
talked. Yes, we gave Ethan a little bit of a mention earlier, and 6 days ago he pushed out 1804, the update for the FNAs, and it's got a
That's
couple
what
of
it
new
should
features.
be called, 1804, the update,
Yeah,
The updating.
the sequel. Airplane 2.
and yes,
Switch for more money.
FNA now supports the brute C# to C++ code generator. So by all means, keep using Visual Studio. Someone else has done the work for you. SDL2_FNA platform, and it's got full support for the gamepad capabilities functionality built into SDL. Volume up, volume down keys are now supported. I wonder if they're now supported in that they actually change the in-game audio levels, or they just are now supported that it sees, oh, those are the volume keys, I'm going to pass those off to the system. I don't know. Remains to be seen when the game comes out with the 1804 version of FNA. OpenGL device, it now actually gives people information as to why the game isn't launching. And Dynamics Vertex Buffer and Dynamics Intex Buffer. It's got a new extension that you can use if that is something that you are looking forward to.
But Pedro, what is FNA? It sounds like terrifyingly complex technology. Can I use it to julienne fries?
Yes. Yes, you can.
You could probably make some julienne fries. But what it is an open source implementation of XNA, the old Microsoft
game dev framework. It was basically, if you're playing games on XBLA back in the day, odds are they were written in XNA. And it provided a nice little easy to use game programming language that Ethan has been determined to preserve, and that's given us wonderful thing. Basically, everything that would have died with Xbox Live Arcade is now available on Linux, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and we've seen like glorious examples of XNA games being brought over to Linux. One of which I mentioned earlier. Well, two of which we mentioned earlier.
Rogue Legacy,
it was
Metal Furies.
Rogue Legacy, Sultan Sanctuary, Tales, Owlboy, yes. The other one, the really nice one that was made by a single guy.
Okay.
Microsoft
this is great.
Studios.
XNA 1804. It's out. TikTok.
Yeah, go rebase on it. Nothing huge, but it gives you some nice stuff. Speaking of crazy developers, Dolphin, those guys who decided, hey, we're having trouble emulating the GameCube GPU, so we're just going to write the GameCube GPU in Vulkan and go fuck yourself. They have a progress report for February and March. So Control F Linux doesn't really return anything, and that's a good thing in my opinion, because that means that they have feature parity. Linux is now humdrum. They don't have to worry about it. Everything fucking works out of the box. Speaking of Uber shaders, that GPU emulation that has finally made it to prime time, and it has they cover that in the video common rewrite section. So now you have a couple options. You can do synchronous, which is the legacy method. You can do synchronous with Uber shaders or asynchronous with Uber shaders, or if you don't want to take the performance hit, because anything Uber shader related requires a fairly beefy GPU because you're emulating another GPU on your GPU. You can do asynchronous with skip drawing, which will cause some texture pop in, but it's only a 1 or 2 time things, and then it's cached. They're also doing a lot more aggressive shader caching as well.
I want that T-shirt, Ben, just like smacking somebody with a wee nunchuck.
Oh yeah. They also had a neat little thing for Android. I know this is an Android Gamecast, but it's a nice little feature to have where the joysticks just center wherever you stick your finger on the touchscreen, which is kind of neat. It's an interesting solution for the touchscreen control problem that plagues all emulator software. And they had apparently they had a one of their devs almost like freaking murdered themselves trying to get Casper's Scare School working under Dolphin, because that was like a thing that would just not work. And after driving himself to the brink of sanity and back, they are finally able to.
I gotta agree with you. I mean, if anything else, just read it for that tale of like, this is going to happen at the end of the day. And
yeah. What happens when you get developers on fucking PCP and you give them the task?
Yeah. So, another thing they fixed on Android were the game INI settings, because they had introduced like per game INI configs on Android a couple of versions ago. But people were not happy because they were forcing those and they weren't giving people the option to change those settings unless you specifically got a third-party app, went into the INI file, and changed them separately. Or you plug them in through ADB, or you remote it in through your PC, whatever the case. Now, they actually give you a little GUI that lets you pick which options you want to enable or disable. Some games were taking a severe performance impact. That's why people were pissed that they were being forced. Oh, I used to be able to play, I don't know, Zelda Wind Waker, and all of a sudden I'm stuck. Man. Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm stuck playing Wind Waker at 2 frames a second while I used to get 30. So, the hell. But they fixed that, and now you can actually disable the offending settings, so that's good.
All right, we are somehow going to talk about Apple on Linux Gamecast. Kind of impressed.
It's the thing that happens. So, there is some rumblings in the rumor mill in the land of Booga Booga. This is from TheVerge.com. Links to all this stuff in our show notes if it was not mentioned already. Apple has been long, quote unquote, disrupting. I hate that fucking buzzword, but it's a thing. the PC space by making questionable decisions.
Why do you hate the word long?
Long because I'm so short.
Oh.
Anyways, wah, wah. But yeah, Apple has made some questionable moves in the past that have ultimately sort of become the industry standard because of the cult of Steve Jobs. They are jobless at the moment, so I'm curious how this will work out. But apparently, the 2020 MacBook Pros will no longer be using Intel CPUs. And honestly, Intel's being a bunch of scumbags recently, so I don't necessarily blame them. But apparently, there will be some custom chips designed by Apple in the new MacBooks.
Chips, bitch.
What does this have to do? Yeah, what does this have to do with Linux gaming? Well, for the longest time, people were maintaining that Mac OS support was sort of the stepping stone to Linux because you get the sort of general Unix support. You'd have the standard Unix like POSIX API. You'd have to do some form of OpenGL coding. Not anymore now. You can just do it all in Vulkan. And now, with Apple moving away to x86 or moving away from x86, honestly, I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference because Apple has always been just that platform you have to support for that small market segment. But odds are they're going to be using some sort of ARM CPU. They've been doing some pretty heavy development on that front. And honestly, ARM CPUs have gotten pretty beefy as of late. The server grade ones actually have some I think it's 80% efficiency x86 emulation on them now.
Earlier this year, somebody released a monster ARM chip for the server room, and it was something like, 30 or 40 cores or something ridiculous. Here's what I'm...
go on.
All right. Here's what I'm thinking, man, because my title for this is just Rest in Peace Mac Gaming. And what is this, the 4th time Apple has changed architecture? This is why this isn't an unbelievable story. And this is not going to be a big change. Apple doesn't want to make desktop hardware anymore. They've made that loud and clear. They want to sell you a new iDevice every 2 years. And listen, I know a lot of people are like, but look, this is a horrible idea. Look what Microsoft did. Listen, what Microsoft did is they took an ARM Dorito from a mobile phone, shoved that shit into a laptop form factor and said, have at with only 32-bit emulation support because it's Microsoft. Come on. Apple's going to build some custom kit around this. However, you're not going to be doing any intense gaming on this business. I don't think. I don't want to be permanently nailed into that. So if you're developing a game, you're going to have to target this separate. Go ahead. Get it out of your system, sweetheart.
I was just going to say, it's probably going to be like the Switch, right? You're going to have your gimped version of the thing that works on ARM. It's all going to be using Vulkan or Metal, so you're going to be able to squeeze performance out of those low-level APIs.
Assuming that game development companies are going to get around to adding that export button.
Yeah, they're not. Because we've seen how reluctant they have been, and sure, Microsoft failed miserably in their ARM implementations, every single one of them, but that... part of that was because third-party developers went, no, Windows is x86. We are developing these applications for x86. And yeah, you don't see, even for Linux support, we run on x86, but oh, look, it's a completely different operating system. We'll get around to it at some point. At this point, if Apple changes their core architecture, that third-party support is going to go down.
Now, you say that, but again, we've seen this happen before in the past with sort of the touchscreen form factor. People sort of wrote that off as like, oh, it's a fad. No one's going to use iPads. Tablets are fucking everywhere now. Oh, you can't have a web experience without Flash. Flash is fucking dead, and Apple had a very large role.
Apple's basically responsible for that. They said, "Fuck this."
Yeah, so like I said, Apple has made historically questionable moves that later on have turned into sort of a de facto standard.
Well, you have a good point. I do believe Apple, kind of in a way, in some ways, man, I'm not defending Apple. Yeah. In some cases, they've taken the first step while the industry stood back and said, let's see how this fucking rolls before we do it. Then
exactly. So this might be the catalyst that actually starts making ARM like better for general purpose computing. Like we may start seeing like some serious ARM laptops and desktops coming out in the near future as a direct result of this.
It could be the catalyst, or it could be FireWire.
You never know. This is all for nothing, man, because ultimately what's going to happen is the new architecture is going to be Power 5 and
Power 9, dude.
Power 9. Yeah.
All right, fine. Power 9. You can have 128 megs of cache.
6.
Right. That'll be a thing.
Yeah, buddy.
Before we get out of here, cryptic clues on macOS, Linux, and mobile. Maybe not so cryptic anymore, ? He says. Just out of curiosity, I pooped over to the radar and I was like, hey, man, Farrell, what you got going on? You got anything cool for me? And I clicked on one of the fucking mystery moon dots that is like, hey, man, here's just the name of the damn game for a change after 3 fucking years. It's like, oh, wow, welcome to 2018, Farrell. Then there's still this one motherfucker up here that...
Robert Johnson. I pulled that up. So apparently we got to save Bob.
That's the thing, but the radar, if you don't know about it, this confusing piece of bullshit that needs to die. Total War Saga, that's incoming. Life is Strange has somehow, even though it was announced after Rise of the Tomb Raider, is coming before their last game, which is still listed as Deus Ex. And even though I thought that was F1, maybe you want to update that, Brad. Yeah. So that's the thing. Is good? Question mark?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Life is Strange would come out for Rise of the Tomb Raider, because I think they've already ported that game, right? They just got to make sure that all the new...
right?
Yeah, and they just got to make sure that all the new content works with their existing port.
And it's not Vulkan.
And that's a lot, and that's a lot less work than porting an entirely new game from Genesis. So I get that. It makes sense that Life is Strange would come out a little bit before Rise of the Tomb Raider, but it's coming soon?
Well, you also got to
June 21st is still a long way away,
right? And Farrell did say, I think next week they're going to be live streaming some Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I also say, man, it's almost a 3-year-old game. I mean, it's like you had some wait time to get those out, but it's nice to see. It will be nice to see how that port performs. All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Coming up next, we're going on a roller coaster ride to the land of magical dungeons
roller
and
coasters.
Yeah, it's going to be like a Saturday morning cartoon, and Ven is playing Uni. Well, it's a good thing I've already put on my robe and wizard hat, because we're playing some Dungeons and Dragons this week, or more specifically, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, developed originally by BioWare and quote-unquote salvaged by Beamdog. We'll get into that a little bit later. Developed on the Aurora engine, the now venerable one, and you can pick it up for about $20, though we didn't have to pay anything for it because they sent us keys. What is it? Return to the Forgotten Realms, in the best-selling Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game. Combines all the content in Diamond Edition with all new enhanced features, includes 100 hours of award-winning adventures and tools to create your own. This is CAHIRQASITION. This is where we take a game, play it, talk about it, give our opinions, maybe perform a little bit of quality assurance. That should have been done originally before they put this out on sale for $20. Again, we'll get to that in a little bit. We rate everything on the chair scale. 1 chair means it's garbage. 2 chairs means that's meh. 3 chairs means that's pretty good. 4 chairs means that's awesome. And we got our categories of doom, which we apply them to. Mixed with working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So, speaking of going on fantastical adventures, getting this shit working was a bit of a fantastical adventure.
Mother.
Ben, you want to tell us about it?
Okay, man. Adventures in this game. I'm going to be real quick because I'm going to kind of tap out after this. New fucking rule, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If I have to touch an INI file in 2018, I minus 2 chairs right off the bat we mix with a working right that. And if like molesting said INI file doesn't sort your issue, another chair right there. You're down to 1 right there. Because the menus in this game, guys, it just didn't work. You know, I tried windowed, I tried full screen, I tried borderless, 1080p, 720p, 2160p. None of it. Wasn't having it. The cursor, basically with UI scaling, makes it out of alignment, which you can kind of futz around and get around until I got up to the character creation with that, and then I was just stuck. I did manage to get it to work because, you know, hey, that's going to happen. Everyone likes a good challenge. I got it to work at 2160p, 3840 by 2160, borderless full screen, minus UI scaling. That, that took 27 minutes of just straight futzing trying to figure this out. And after that, I really couldn't play the game because I had 2 options. I had the original UI at UHD, which genuinely put the text in pencil lines, making it unreadable. Or I could play same scenario, 1080p windowed, which still had the text at an unreadable state. So that really irritated me. I also noticed that it hangs on cloud sync if you have to force close, because you kind of got to force close something if it constantly hangs. It did start on the wrong DAC, but, you know, after all the other bullshit, that hardly seems worth a mention. So I do want to say this. Anyone playing the home game, because I know you're out there listening, is I don't want to hear an FSM damn word about everything I just pointed out, because that reads like a pre-flight checklist from the review section on the Steam store, man. I just couldn't get it to work. And what couldn't you get it to work on? What are you running? Some weird, crazy distribution? I'm running 1710 with an NVIDIA 980, Ryzen 1700 displayed at UHD and everything else. And this just wasn't having it. Better luck next time, guys, because this is the wrong type of enhancement, because I know Jordan's going to point out the Lutris version works better than this.
Oh, absolutely. When you're being outdone by Strider, you might want to rethink some of the decisions that got you to that point. Yeah, so a couple things. You can disable UI scaling in the INI file. If you want the mouse to be in sync, you got to set enable hardware mouse equals to 1. And oh my god, so many out of the box issues. If you start up some of the premium campaigns, the Shadow Thief one, yeah, you can't save in that game. It just fails. You cannot load it anymore. That's bad. This is not something that should have made it to production. I'm sorry, Beamdog. I know you've been doing pretty well with the other enhanced editions, but you had an open beta for this, and you still didn't fix any of these issues. And that is just frankly unacceptable in this day and age. The game is fully playable once you fix these issues, aside from the odd time when the UI burps and you can't do anything and you got to quit and reload the game. Hopefully you didn't start that one campaign where you can't actually save, because otherwise you're straight fucked. You still got to disable cloud saves. Man, there's no difference from like Ryzen land to Intel land, because on the 6700K with the GTX 980 running Fedora 2664-bit, all these issues still exist. The game performs fine once you get in there, but if you have to go through this entire rigmarole just to get the game to a point where you can play it, you've earned that one chair.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's got a lot of issues. Full screen doesn't work. You can now actually set it to borderless maximized from the INI file, but you have to crack open the INI file. And like Fan already mentioned, and Jordan mentioned too, the cloud saves cause issues. Sometimes you can't even launch the game. It'll wait for like 30 seconds before it gives you a little error message saying, oh, you may have launched the game from another window because the cloud saves are out of sync with your local saves. Yes, that's because you didn't upload them in it. But yeah, no, it's got a lot of issues, but we'll get to those in a moment. 2 chairs for me, because yeah, you can play the game, but it's even at 1080p, it has issues.
Yeah, so that's one chair for mixed with the working. Up next to Shiny and Sounds. Ven, are we just going to run past you for the rest of these? Or,
Ven away.
Ven away. All right. So, welcome to the Jordan and Pedro Dungeons and Dragons hour, 30 minutes.
Nerds! I'm still here in spirit.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm Spooky Ven.
Spoopy Ven. All right, yeah. Graphics. Just like 2003 used to make. It wasn't a bad looking game back then, and it looks about the same now in the Enhanced Edition. You can install some of the in the Steam Workshop. They have the Community Expansion Pack. They have a bunch of portrait packs, and they have the HD texture pack. So you can install them, and the game looks a little better. But yeah, it's still that 2003 era stuff. The soundtrack's good. I mean, they had some decent. They had a decent composer on there, as BioWare is often wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard all this stuff before. But it gets about 2 chairs.
Yeah, considering it came out in 2002 originally, and then in 2003 for Linux. It looks very blocky. The one saving grace are the awesome community mods, which improve the graphics a lot. There's not a whole lot in the Steam Workshop right now, but if you go to the Neverwinter Vault, you get entire override packs that replace textures, introduce shaders, do all of that. I think the shader ones are currently limited to DX9, so they don't work on Linux, but with the improvements that Beamdog has made to the backwards engine, well, I say improvements, the background engine, not backwards. I hope that those shader mods and everything else will eventually come to Linux. And they did release a mod that introduces high res textures and a bunch of other stuff. Big yes for me is the Jeremy Soule audio. It's like he composed, you may know Jeremy Soule from the Elder Scrolls series, and when it came to Hordes of the Underdark, BioWare simply said, yo, could you do us a couple of songs? And he did. And Hordes of the Underdark is my favorite campaign, and the audio plays a big part of that. I can't, give it a full score by any means or measure, because anti-aliasing still doesn't work. Depth of field is crap. It makes everything look blurry. And there are quite a few issues with the graphics that weren't present in the original version. But I think they're aware of that. At least they say they're aware of that. So it remains to be seen what they'll fix it. So 2 chairs for me, too.
Well, that's 1 chair for Shiny and Sense, because just assume Ben gets the 1 chair on all the other categories.
Mm-hmm.
Controls. Yeah, I still maintain that like the Windows Temple of Elemental Evil, the one that came out a little bit after this, is the gold standard for like 3.5 era D&D controls, because they basically took the radial menu from Neverwinter Nights and made it suck less. But the controls are serviceable. You pause the game, you right click, you can interact with the objects, you can cast your spells. They give you all the weird power attack, shove, 3.5 combat options that you know and or love. Yeah, that gets about 3 chairs from me. I will say though, I hate games that will not let you pan with WASD and expect you to use a mouse. That's just annoying.
Yeah. Here, they let you pan, they let you control the character, they let you basically do everything with the keyboard, and you actually have 3 different camera styles. You have the typical Skycam, the overhead follow camera that's more along the lines of what you'd get with Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. Hey, same engine, go figure. And the quote-unquote free camera, which isn't really free, so put heavy air quotes around that free bit, because the camera is still locked to your character, but it gives you a wider range of motion.
Would you say it's like free, not as in software or beer?
Yes, neither of those. But you can play the game if you want. If you don't want to use the keyboard at all, you can just play the game with the mouse, and it works. The mouse, if you want to, if you're one of those keyboard-centric people, you only really need a mouse to deal with the UI, the inventory, and whatnot. And, well, the UI, since I brought that up, In 2018, that's an old ass looking UI, but there are mods for that too. 3 chairs.
Yeah, well, that's 2 chairs for the control segment. Pedro, did you have fun playing this? Did this do anything for you?
No. See, I have to qualify that because Neverwinter Nights is my all-time favorite Linux game. I'm hoping that the Enhanced Edition will live up to its enhanced name, but it's really hard to ignore the technical issues at play here. From defaulting to a broken-ass scaling system, even at 1080p, they default to fucking scaling. Ugh. They still fail at full screen, anti-aliasing is non-existent, depth of field is horrible, and general brokenness in even the Steam cloud saves. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Beamdog will fix all of this in time, but boy, does that make it hard to really recommend this version. It's, having spent several years of my life playing in quite a few multiplayer servers, I'm really glad that Beamdog fixed the server browser and made it easier to join your friends through Steam. But those single-player campaigns are very much there, and they're charging £3 for the premium modules and £2 for a freaking portrait pack. That's 2 chairs with an asterisk there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have a complicated history with this game because I played the tabletop role-playing game that it was based off of for, I'm gonna call that like maybe 8 to 10 years, right? And so I'm intimately familiar with the shortcomings of the underlying rules system. And the second I hit that character creation screen, like a fucking acid flashback, it all came back to me. Just memories of dozens of fucking D&D source books splayed out open in front of me as I'm trying to find prestige classes and feats and spells and all that garbage. I don't miss playing D&D from that era, but it's Neverwinter Nights. It was a perfectly fun RPG in a semi-familiar fantasy world, and for whatever reason, I got when we were reviewing the enhanced edition of KOTOR, I got sucked into that. Mm-hmm. Like KOTOR, I really enjoyed KOTOR and KOTOR 2. This one, not so much. I mean, the premium modules are pretty fun. I actually really like Kingmaker. That's a fun little bit of added kit that comes with it. And you do get a lot of content with this game. You get the original game, the 2 expansions, all the Platinum Edition mods, and that's going to give you quite a bit of playtime. Plus all the old mods, Dance with Rogues, Tomb of Horrors, etc., etc. You can play this game for about as long as you can find resources for it. But the main thing where like it just kills my fun boner here is the technical issues. There's just so many technical issues here, and it's kind of hard to like stay invested when like, oh, the UI crapped out, I can't select anything anymore. I gotta exit and I gotta reload the game and reprogress to where I was. And if you played these games before, you save scum the fuck out of them because you'll die quick. But even then, that's just an annoying step, especially going to have to kill 9. Because, this game will not die from a regular kill. You got to kill 9 this fucker. Yeah, Strider straight up did a better job with Lutris on this game than Beamdog did. And once SDL2CL gets to the point where it's pretty much flawless, you're going to have full screen. The only thing that the original version has that this game will lack is the Blink video, or is the lack of like the Steam integration, and you're still relying on Blink Video, but who the hell cares about that? I'll give it 2 chairs just because like the game is still serviceable, but oh man, it's a hard pass on the 2 chairs. So that's 1 chair for fun. Tally that up. Unfortunately, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition gets a 1 chair just because fuck Beamdog, you dropped the ball.
Yeah, you really done goofed on this one.
I want to chime in.
All right. What's up, baby?
I was genuinely upset. This is a game that I've intentionally avoided when it originally came out for Linux. And we had like 6 games on Linux back in those days. I mean, when was this? 2003-ish?
2003.
Yeah.
Actually had a Linux port back then, and it's like, nope, so not my thing. I'm not into D&D, bro. I can dig it, but it's just not my thing. And didn't buy it, even though, you know, I only had 5 games when all the other Linux gamers had 6. I had to talk myself into it. I had to psych myself up to download this. I was like, all right, Pepsi challenge this shit. At least get into it. And when you sit down, you're like, okay, fuck it. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. Only to be hit by this is like, we're not doing this. And yeah, like, damn. All right. So $20, I guess if you want it, I mean, if you have the GOG version and you're on Linux and you want to avoid this bullshit, just use Lutris to play it. I think you're going to have a better time because you can still do multiplayer with that, right?
Yeah.
So you can.
For direct connections and some of the persistent world servers are still up, I think.
The server browser is dead.
Yeah, so you got to get the IPs, but that will it'll still work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Final thoughts? I would say this is why you need the chair QAizition, right?
Right.
This is why you should test your game before putting it out into production. And the forum is full of people having these issues. And if you're going to be charging $20 for this, you better ensure that it works. And these guys had an open beta too. They had ample time to identify and plug these issues, and they didn't. And that's the biggest crime here.
That is like definitely, we had no guarantee that we were going to get accused for this game or anything like this. I remember when Pedro like threw it. He's like, yo, if you join their Discord server and just do this thing and you'll get it for free. I lasted like 8 minutes. It's like, yeah, I don't fucking care. So to emphasize my point that I sit down to try to play the damn thing.
Yeah, it's, you know what the biggest crime here is? They introduced these issues like 3 weeks ago. Before that, while the game was in open beta, no, it worked just fine. It worked out of the box. There was no UI scaling being done by default. The high-res font actually worked, and you could actually see things in 4K. This shit was broken 3 weeks ago. What the hell, Beam Dog?
Well, it's better than Updog. Coming up next, we talk about the usefulness of RSS feeds in the year 2018 of our Lord, Nicolas Cage. Say hi, Nick. Hi.
Hi.
It is now.
Well, I've run that line into the ground, but hey, it's the end of the show. It's about that time that you got back to us to let us know how we did. If you'd like to do that, go to LinuxGameCast.com, hit the contact button, fill out the form. It's pretty easy. Make sure to pick LGC Weekly from the little drop-downy thing. You could also leave some feedback for that Wednesday show, what Ven, myself, and Jill, the Linux girl, do. Or you could ask Jordan for some relationship advice. That's always something we would very much like to have, because it's fun. This week, though, we have 2 bits of hate mail. The first one comes from Crayon.
Crayon?
And he says, FYI,
Delicious.
Your RSS feeds are not valid, meaning you have no guarantees anyone can subscribe to them. Yeah, we've had issues. I suggest changing generators. W3C provide a validator you can use to check your feeds. Your feed's compliant. That's pretty good. Wow, okay. Or just make sure you follow the spec when generating the feed. What error their validator returns that seems non-obvious is URL must be a full URL. Blah, 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 blah. This is due to the specification stating the URL must be an HTTP URL. Okay, right?
I don't know.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Maybe question mark?
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I said this. It's compatible with Sailfish OS.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Blast those air horns.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I sent it and I checked, just creeped on a little bit. I was like, who's this person? I just kind of checked because I had a weird.com for the email address. And I go, it's just like this parked web page that had a direct link and it was like W3C validation. I was like, oh, that's your thing. Okay. Got it. It's cool. If it doesn't work, let us know and we'll be on it, because I'm not chasing the dragon on validation because I know it works on iTunes and I know it works on Google. So
And Selfish OS.
And Selfish OS.
And Selfish, yeah.
You got to focus on that important finished market penetration. Anyways, next one is from Ertain. He's talking about that game what we reviewed last week. He says, "You sons of bitches, due to your terrific review of Strafe, I have to download it. Thanks a lot. Keep this up, and I might even do more Patreon stuff. I want you to do more butt stuff.
Butt stuff, baby.
Butt stuff.
Strafe. We talked about Strafe. We've sold a couple of copies of that. I mean, Strider Heat purchased a copy last week.
Oh, yeah. Right then and there. It's like, no, this game cannot get a Strider. Oh.
No, I mean, it's definitely one way we can go about selling the games, man. Just be like, yo, it's a thing. How much was Strafe? It wasn't terribly...
I think it was
$20.
Okay, it was way fucking overpriced for what it was, my opinion.
$17.49 Canadian. There you go.
Yeah.
If it had
About
multiplayer,
15 US.
if it had multiplayer,
$15,
we'd be playing multiplayer in the after shows because it looks kind of fun. We need to break out like old school. What is it? Half-Life multiplayer, the Doom clone they made using the Source engine.
Oh, Deathmatch Classic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there was a thing on our gaming where they were trying to get like more than 28 players at once playing Deathmatch Classic.
Oh wow. Well, we could probably get 5 or 6 because I know we always have like 9 or 10 when we do Serious Sam at any given time.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely a thing.
Or maybe we could get that multiplayer Wolfenstein thing back up and running. That was
difficulty multiplayer back up and running. I wonder how that might be a fun experiment for next week to see.
Yeah, that was like Pedro's intro to LGC. That's
you called me Pablo. I remember.
Pablo. I think one of the things we're going to be playing.
What are you talking about, Peter?
Listen, Greg. Let me finish. We might be trying out is something Pedro definitely remembered on this upcoming Friday for Friday Night Fubar is Killing Floor because I think we get a gang of people in that and it's kind of like a team effort. So let's blow this out.
I wonder
because
if they fixed the NVIDIA drivers.
I don't know, Pedro. I wonder too. Because on that bombshell, let's cue the music. You can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time. One of these days, I'll do that audio live too, which I probably could have done, but audio got a little dicey this evening, so I decided to kind of tap the brakes on that. I'm at VinStone on Twitter. That's kind of our official account because we didn't plan ahead. We expected 3 people to watch the stupid horse and buggy show. Turns out, kind of a little thing. Check me out there, plus VinStone. Just Google it. If you write to me, I'll probably get back to you.
I'm Jordan Spung, Dungeon Master Extraordinaire and hater of mid-2000s Dungeons & Dragons. You can find me at The Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Spung on Google+.
And I am Pedro Mateos. I am very disappointed in Beamdog this week, but you can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think one thing that we learned this week is Pedro did not get completely trashed. Now, last week, I'm not saying he got complete... Oh, here's some credits. Boom. Check that business out. Science, bitches.
Professional.
Oh, man. We
Last week, I ended the night sitting by the throne. Not on the throne.
Yeah, Pedro, you should tell everyone what happened after you just disappeared in the after shows. And
yeah, I kind of just...
Did you pull an empty?
Almost.
Did you pass out on the way
sort of?
back?
He pulled an advanced team.
No. Because I was sitting and all of a sudden the room started spinning real fast. And I'm like, oh shit. So I had killed the call, went to the bathroom, sat by the toilet, and I hyperventilated for like 15 minutes until it went away. Didn't puke, but it came close.
The entire time, could have brought us mobile, could have fired up Discord, given us that little extra bit of content, and no. Hey, thanks all the beautiful people, you all are the real MVPs, all of our Patreons. We got show credits going right now.
That's where they're in the Star Wars credits, man.
Oh, shit, Star Wars credits. We can't do a third show because I'm out of like ideas for credits because we do Stranger Things on Wednesday. So, Dad of Fire, we love you. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
5 dudes.